All right, let's talk about what might just be the most extreme career change in, well, history. We're not talking about switching from sales to software development. No, we're talking about going from an elite battlefield commanding war god to becoming the literal god of wealth. This is the incredible story of Zhao Gongming. So let that sink in for a second. The deity that millions of people pray to for business success, for a better bottom line, his first job was being an absolutely terrifying warrior. It's a pretty wild resume, right? And it really makes you wonder, how in the world does a master of armed conflict become the go-to guy for managing your portfolio? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here. It's a wild story of immense power, a tragic end, and a heavenly promotion that created, honestly, the ultimate financial bodyguard. So first, let's get to know him as he is today. See, he isn't some passive deity who just, sends good fortune your way. He is the martial god of wealth. That's key. It means he actively fights for you on your path to prosperity. He's out there clearing obstacles and literally scaring away bad luck. And believe me, he has the title to prove it. In the celestial bureaucracy, he holds this incredibly long and impressive title. I am absolutely not going to try to pronounce the whole thing, but trust me, every part of it just screams authority and power. This isn't some minor local god. We're talking about a top-tier celestial marshal. Now, to really get how he landed this gig, we have to look at his original resume. Long before he was managing assets, he was a total MVP on the battlefield, a warrior of legendary status during the epic Fengshan War. And check out his loadout. This was not standard issue stuff. He rode a fearsome black tiger into battle, he wielded a golden iron whip, and he had 2 divine treasures that made him pretty much unbeatable. And let's just pause for a second on those pearls. He had 24 of them. When he threw them, they would just erupt in this blinding 5-colored light that could disorient and literally crush even the most powerful immortals. He was so good with these things, he could take down entire armies all by himself. Okay, but his second treasure, this is where we get a little hint of his future career, the Lobao Jinchen, or the treasure-dropping gold coin. Get this, it could knock an enemy's magical weapon right out of their hands and confiscate it. I mean, think about that. He was basically a specialist in divine asset forfeiture, long before he ever managed a single portfolio. So, you're probably thinking, if this guy was so powerful, how did he die? Well, that's the thing. He wasn't beaten by brute force. No, it took something way more sinister to bring down a warrior of his level. To set the scene for you, during this massive cosmic war, Zhao Gongming was basically a one-man army. He was taking down legendary heroes left and right, and he brought the entire opposing army to the very brink of collapse. They were getting desperate. So since they couldn't beat him in a straight-up fight, his enemies turned to dark magic. A rival shaman performed this really grim 21-day ritual. It was basically a remote assassination. By creating a straw doll of Zhao Gongming and methodically shooting arrows into it, they attacked and destroyed his soul from a distance. But here's the twist in the story. For a warrior of his stature, death wasn't really the end. It was more like an entry point for huge celestial promotion. His soul went straight up to the heavenly court to get a new assignment. So after the war, he was officially appointed as the true lord of the Black Tiger Xuantan. This new title made him a celestial marshal, a really high-ranking official in the whole divine administration. And his new job description was this fascinating mix. His first duty, welcome auspiciousness and receive blessings, the foundation of being a wealth god. But his second duty was to pursue fugitives and capture the dead, which kept his warrior and law enforcement skills sharp. It's the perfect blend of his old life and his new one. Okay, so how do these two completely different roles merge to create the martial god of wealth? Well, it all comes down to having the ultimate transferable skill set.
His entire warrior identity was essentially just reframed for a financial context. So defeating armies on the battlefield, that becomes the power to defeat poverty and financial obstacles. Confiscating enemy weapons, that becomes the skill of protecting your personal assets. Even his intimidating presence got repurposed. Instead of scaring enemy soldiers, it's now believed to scare away poverty spirits.
But that's just the logic you get from his life story as a warrior. The real reason for this epic transformation? it actually goes back way further, to a kind of dark history in his divine origin story.
Believe it or not, in some of the oldest texts, Zhao Gongming wasn't a warrior at all. He started out as a plague god, a really powerful and feared deity of pestilence. But over the centuries, that power was reinterpreted. The thinking kind of evolved. If a god is powerful enough to drive away something as awful as disease, then surely he can drive away any kind of calamity, and that includes the calamity of poverty.
So after this whole epic journey from plague god to war god and finally to wealth god, what we're left with is the ultimate financial bodyguard for our modern world.
And when you think about it like that, it makes total sense why he's so popular with entrepreneurs and people in finance. In today's hyper-competitive world, they aren't just praying for a handout. They're asking for a warrior's edge. They want a guardian watching their back. And everything about him reinforces this role now. Even that fearsome black tiger, once a beast of war, is now seen as a mascot for prosperity. It's believed that the tiger literally goes out and bites gold and silver treasures to bring them back for you. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Praying to Zhao Gongming isn't just about wishing for cash. It's like hiring celestial security. He doesn't just grant you wealth. He protects your entire journey to wealth.
And that leaves us with a pretty cool final thought. In our modern world, which is filled with its own kinds of battles, right? Market competition, financial risks, career hurdles, maybe this ancient idea holds a very modern truth. Maybe the surest path to prosperity is the one guarded by a warrior.